relationship. Taylor, why don't you post your partner?
I mean, it's a very simple answer to me. I don't post my partner because it's my personal life. I want my personal life to be my personal life. I just think social media has made us think that we have to share something if it's happening, and that if we don't share it, it's not happening. And I have found a lot of peace and power in not feeling as though I owe the world every single part of me. Like, I have found freedom in that choice, because social media has become a place where many people go to judge, to compare, to get attention, to gain assurance and validation, or to entertain. Why would I want the thing and the human that I hold the closest to me to be subject to any of those categories? And again, this is just me personally. If posting your partner works for your relationship, by all means do that. I'm not saying no one needs to post their partner, but this is why I personally and specifically will not engage in the practice of making my partner also my social media content.
Have you always felt this way?
Mostly, yes. I would say it changed in my 20s. So, a relationship that I was in my 20s, we would post each other sporadically. And even then, when we were doing it, I didn't necessarily love it. I didn't like people commenting about my partner. I didn't like people text me about my partner. I just didn't like the idea of putting this person so out into the world, which also made people think that their opinions were then welcome, because you post something, right? Because you want a like or a comment. So of course someone is going to think that if you're posting it, that means that they can like or comment. I don't need comments on the person that I'm with. So I was doing that in a relationship that I was in my 20s. When I got out of that relationship and when I was just, dating, I had a minute where I was dating somebody, and we ended up, being seen that we were dating. I was like on TMZ. We weren't hiding the fact that we were dating. But it was like on TMZ, us leaving our date and then going to another date. And that was the minute I said, "Oh yeah, like people knowing the person that I date is just not a thing for me."
Social media has really messed the game up, and we still in its, it's still in its infancy for a lot of people. And I think that it's two different perspectives that you have to look at here. You got to look at it from the perspective of her, somebody that has a lot of visibility, probably a lot of followers on Instagram. I don't know. I don't follow her, so it's not necessarily a thing for me. But she may have a lot of followers on Instagram, all of that. And so her experience with regard to how it is or how it changes the dynamic of how people look at you is completely different than a lot of regular people. Now, a lot of regular people are starting to go through some of the similar things simply because, you know, within your own little sphere or your own little circle, a lot of times people are judgy. Now, the flip side of it is since the beginning of time, and a lot of celebrities used to be intentional about this as far as showing off that they date or they appear or something because they was leveraging that in order to get more visibility for whatever it was that they was doing. You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't a social thing, it was more or less a marketing thing from a financial perspective that allowed for you to be able to get more visibility, which ultimately translated into the bag. But now it's different because in the social media era, it's still marketing, but a lot of times people are not using it that way in order to be able to get a bigger bag or more visibility. They're using it for clout. And clout is a hell of a drug. It is the worst drug known to man because sometimes people will do anything for clout. And so I think a lot of times people even comment for clout or they want to force you to be seen. And now we're in this dynamic where everybody can stay connected to anybody. And so now a lot of the celebrities are hearing it direct instead of being indirect or not directly affecting you. They're hearing it directly from the fans. And I think a lot of people think that they celebrities in their own mind. So that's a whole nother conversation. But if you don't have to, regardless of how happy you are, never, ever, ever post your spouse or who it is that you're in a relationship with or who it is that you're dating because nothing good ever comes from it unless you're using it from a marketing perspective to justify or show receipts as to what's going on. Now, what do I mean by showing receipts? So, for example, a lot of guys, a lot of some of the most famous guys or guys that have some of the biggest opinions in life about what it is that you should do in a relationship, the biggest knock that they have against them is when people say, well, you not married or you twice divorced. Okay. So part of the thing that allows for me to be a lot more effective when it comes to what I'm talking about on a regular basis is the fact that I could say, and it's funny because 9 days from now, I'll actually be officially married for 20 years, successfully married, active in my relationship, loving my wife, things is going incredibly well or whatever. So I have to leverage parts of who I am because people want to see the receipts. So many people are out here just talking for a bag, but they're not necessarily justifying why they saying what they saying, or you can't necessarily trust they advice because you don't know whether or not they're a reflection of the thing that they're advocating for. And it's similar to money, it's similar to finances. Would you, somebody may say something that sounds good, right? We see the Jay Morrisons of the world. He sounded good. He was selling you on the whole idea that he understood real estate. Come to find out, he didn't own any. And then when y'all finally started to invest with him, because he wasn't a accredited investor, y'all invested with him and then y'all got finessed with the trust fund, right? But it's the same thing when it comes to relationships. A lot of people would say what it sounds like you should hear, but they could be giving you bad advice. So sounding good enough is not enough. You also actually had to have a receipts to go along with it. So it could be leveraged as a tool for good or for bad. But even in that, you may benefit from having more credibility, but when people don't like you, regardless of whether or not your advice is good enough, the first thing that they're going to attack, because there ain't no rules in this social media game, ain't nobody set the rules yet, is they're going to attack the people that you love the most. So you got to gird them up and be prepared for that. And it's a lot that comes with having a public relationship or being a public figure with somebody that prefers to be private, and what comes along with that. Let me hear what Joy Taylor got to say about this really quickly.
It's not a thing that I want to do. I do not want to engage in this practice again. But it isn't just about, like, to me, the like being on TMZ and being photographed on your date is in the same family of posting my partner on Instagram. It has nothing to do with being famous or not, and everything to do with people taking in the information about you and a person that you care about. So I would say it changed for me in like my early to mid 20s. But when I was doing it, I still didn't love doing it.
Yeah, there's so much that you and I align with on this conversation because we've had it so many times. And
Yeah.
I've been in multiple public relationships. And at the time, it felt very normal. It felt like what you're supposed to do, right? Like you are in a relationship, okay, you post your partner, like you hard launch them, you soft launch them, like you introduce this new chapter of your life to the world, which everyone does in some way or another on social media, whether it is a new show or whether it is, you've purchased a home or you got a new car or you graduated from college or you achieved this thing in your career or you've had a baby or you got married, like it's in line with those things. Like, okay, you're in this moment and you want to share it. For me, what I realized is once you do that, you've now introduced a new element into your relationship that didn't exist before. Mm-hmm. So that element now creates this energy that you have to deal with. And not having to deal with that energy, which includes a lot of the things that you just listed, is such a relief to me. And it's just created this world where I don't have to explain my choices, even if I'm not explaining them at all, to other people. Like the feedback that people will give you on a public relationship is
crazy,
so crazy and so overwhelming. So, for example, one of the things that I dealt with being in a public relationship was, and by public, I don't necessarily mean being with a public figure. Like, I mean just sharing the person that I'm with.
Yeah, just that the public was aware.
That is what I when I say that.
Same. Yeah.
Okay, so you post a picture of the two of you doing whatever, playing softball. And then 2 weeks later, you post the two of you at a wine bar. Well, now 2 weeks is your rhythm. So now you've set the cadence for how often you're going to post them. So if you don't post them for 2 weeks and it's now 3 weeks, people are hitting you like, "Oh, are you guys okay? Like I haven't seen you guys together in a while."
That's crazy.
Like, what do you mean you haven't seen us?
That's absolutely 100% true. I agree with her. I have people that sit there and send me DMs and these crazy chicks that send me comments, or I even see comments on a YouTube video and they'll say something like, "Oh, I haven't seen your chick in a while." I've had grown men, dog, you would never believe it. It's insane. I've had grown men, and that's why I be saying that dudes be acting a little bit more feminine than the women. Grown men do entire videos and live streams speculating on whether or not my chick left me or whether or not I'm going through a divorce. And then it becomes a thing. And then I've seen people comment after watching the video and be like, "That's why you going through a divorce." I'm like, what? My chick will literally be sitting right across from me, cracking up. And I just say, "Don't say nothing." And so what we'll do is we'll start to leverage it because I know that controversy creates more visibility. And because we don't give a fuck about this internet shit, but we also understand the marketing aspect of it, we'll leverage it in order to continue to run a checkup and be even more successful. But it is what it is. I agree with her 100%. It then becomes a standard because people want to see what it is that you got going on, because that is the gossip at that particular moment for your particular sphere.
Didn't see me on my Instagram. Like, no, sorry, I've been busy. He's literally sitting right next to me. Like, are you okay? Why are you clocking my life? And this isn't just people on the internet. Like, this is people that I know as well. And it just, the first time that happened to me, I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, people are really watching the cadence of my life.
They are.
And this is a personal, very private, very special relationship to me. And I'm having now to justify it publicly just through the cadence of my Instagram, which is fucking crazy.
And also, too, like, okay, so for you, when this was going on, did you then feel like you had to do it every 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Really?
Because it wasn't about him. It wasn't like he didn't.
And see, this is where having a chick that understands and moves according to what you tell her to do matters. Because when I say, "Hey, don't post me," or this and that or whatever, blah blah blah, you know, I only want to post with people that I got content creation with, and I'm gonna live my life separately offline with you. And her actually rocking with that and wanting that matters more. When you got a chick that do whatever it is that she want to do, or she's affected by what everybody else says, it's not a part of a relationship, it's never going to work because she feels pressure by society in order to meet the expectations of people that don't even care nothing about her.
Didn't know. We sleep in the same bed together every night. He knows where I am. He knows what the relationship is, but he's also getting those questions like, "Oh, wow, like, haven't seen you on Joy's page. Like, are you guys doing okay?" And then it's like, "Are we doing okay?"
That's
like,
crazy.
That's we're clearly doing okay. I just didn't get around to posting like from the festival this weekend. So like, it's not like I'm taking a shot at you. And then you feel like you have to post them to keep up with everyone's expectations of your relationship. And then it's like the judging of the photo, like, "Oh, wow, like he doesn't look happy to be there," or "she's not really holding his hands," or all those things that we like lead into with photos, which we've talked about many times, like standing in the same room as someone and you're associated with them. The dissecting that goes on with what you post with your partner is also crazy.
And you got to be very careful and very intentional about what you want to be communicated to people, because people will take that and either weaponize it against you, or use it against you in some future state when they don't like you or they fall out with you or whatever like that. But um, I've learned the game. I've learned the game. I've learned that all publicity is good publicity. All of it, literally all of it, is good publicity. Unless you're doing some crazy junk like you did, like Diddy and Cassie or something like that. But for the most part, if you create visibility for yourself and people are still checking for you or they want to have a conversation about you, that's not a bad thing. And I used to years ago think that that was a bad thing, but now I want to stoke the fire because it keeps your name inside of the algorithm. Whole nother conversation. But anyways, let me know what y'all think inside of the chat. Also, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. We got Stock Club coming up tomorrow. And Q show tonight. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. I'm gonna holler at y'all tomorrow. Peace.